What would you do if your mother-in-law publicly called you second class at her birthday party in front of 100 guests? Most people would leave in shame, but Michael had been preparing for this moment for 2 years. Before we dive into this incredible story of justice and revelation, if you enjoy stories about standing up for yourself, family drama, and unexpected twists, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more amazing real-life stories like this one. This is the story of Michael, a 35-year-old teacher who endured years of humiliation from his mother-in-law until the night he presented her with a box that changed everything. Let's begin.
At her 65th birthday dinner, Michael's mother-in-law, Margaret, raised her wine glass and mocked him in front of the entire family. "This one's a second-class son-in-law, isn't he? Not like Richard." Michael smiled, picked up the box that was beside him, and placed it in front of her. When she opened it and saw what was inside, her hand trembled so much she almost dropped the glass. 3 months later, she was at his door, crying, begging him to forgive what had happened. But the damage was already done. Michael was 35 years old and had been married to Jennifer for 4 years. He had met Margaret, his mother-in-law, before he even proposed to Jennifer. The first time he went to her house, he brought a carrot cake he had made himself. He enjoyed cooking. He'd learned from his grandmother. Margaret looked at the cake and said, "How cute, but a man in the kitchen." She didn't finish the sentence, just shook her head. Jennifer always made excuses. "Mom's just old-fashioned, Michael. She's from a different generation." Michael accepted it because he loved Jennifer. He worked as an English teacher at a public high school, earning $3,800 a month. It wasn't much, but it paid the bills. Jennifer worked as a freelance graphic designer and earned about the same. They split everything: the $1,800 rent, groceries, utilities. It was fair. It was theirs. But to Margaret, he would never be enough, especially after Jennifer's sister, Amanda, married Richard. Richard was a lawyer with his own practice, earning at least 10 times what Michael made. He wore imported watches and drove a German luxury car. And every time they gathered for family events, Margaret made sure to compare them. "Michael, did you see the new house they bought? 4 bedrooms, built-in grill, swimming pool?" She'd say this while glancing sideways at him. "Michael, have you and Jennifer thought about buying instead of renting?" "We're saving, Margaret," Michael would respond, keeping his composure. "Saving," she'd sigh. "In my husband's time, a man bought the house before getting married, but things are different nowadays, aren't they?" Michael's father-in-law, Tom, always stayed quiet. He was a simple man who had worked in construction his whole life, and Michael sensed he too felt uncomfortable with these comparisons. Once, when they were alone fixing the fence at their house, Tom said to him, "Don't pay attention to what she says, Michael. You're a good man. I see how you treat my daughter."
It was one of the few times anyone in that family acknowledged his effort. Things got worse when Jennifer got pregnant 2 years ago. They found out it would be a boy. Margaret organized a huge baby shower. She invited all her friends, aunts, and cousins. According to her, she spent $5,000 on the party. In the middle of the celebration, she gave a speech. "My first grandchild, I'm so happy." Then she looked at Amanda and Richard. "Amanda, honey, when are you two going to give me grandchildren? You have the means to give a child everything they could want." Jennifer squeezed Michael's hand under the table. He saw the hurt in her eyes, but she said nothing. When baby Ethan was born, for the first 6 months, Michael and Jennifer slept 4 hours a night. The baby didn't sleep easily. He needed to be held all night. Michael would wake up at dawn, warm the bottle, change diapers, walk around with Ethan until he fell asleep, while Jennifer caught some rest. The next day, he'd be at school teaching, exhausted but happy. Margaret would come to their house to help, but she spent the whole time criticizing. "Michael, you heat the bottle like that? Let me do it the right way." Michael, that's not how you hold a baby. Michael, you should work more hours, do overtime, I don't know. Teachers make so little. One day, she arrived with a bag of baby clothes. They were all designer brands, expensive. Some pieces cost $180 each. I bought these so my grandson looks presentable, she said. Then she looked at the simple clothes they'd bought from department stores. You can donate these. Jennifer exploded for the first time. Mom, stop it. We buy things for our son with our own money. Calm down, honey. I just wanted to help, Margaret said, playing the victim. You know Michael can't give Ethan everything. It was around this time that Michael started secretly saving money, not for himself, but for something he knew he'd need to do one day. Every month he set aside $200, $300. Jennifer didn't notice because he did side jobs on weekends, private tutoring, grading essays for test prep companies. He saved little by little for 2 entire years. Margaret's 65th birthday party would be a big event. She rented a banquet hall, hired catering, decorations. According to Amanda, they spent $18,000. Richard paid half, and Jennifer and Michael contributed $3,500, all they could afford. Even so, Margaret complained, "That's all? Richard paid $9,000. On the night of the party, there were over 100 people. Michael wore business casual, the same type of outfit he wore for parent-teacher conferences. Richard wore an Italian suit with gold cufflinks. During dinner, Margaret started drinking. She wasn't usually a heavy drinker, but that night she was celebrating, and the wine went down easy. When it was time for photos, she gathered the whole family. Amanda and Richard on one side, Michael, Jennifer, and Ethan on the other. "Look at my handsome sons-in-law," she said loudly for everyone to hear, then pointed at Richard. "This one here is a first-class son-in-law, right? A lawyer, successful, gave my daughter everything she could want." Then she looked at Michael and gave a little laugh. "This one's a second-class son-in-law, isn't he? But what can you do? Love is blind." The entire hall went silent. Some people laughed awkwardly. Jennifer turned red. Shame and anger mixed together. Tom lowered his head. Amanda covered her mouth, looking shocked but doing nothing. Michael looked at Margaret. She stood there with her glass raised, proud of the humiliation she'd just caused him in front of everyone. That's when he smiled. He picked up the box he'd left under his chair, a simple shoebox wrapped in brown paper. He placed it on the table in front of her. "Margaret, I brought you a special gift," he said, still smiling. "Please, open it." She looked at the box suspiciously but curious. Everyone was watching. She opened it slowly. Inside was a pile of papers, receipts, documents, printed photos. She picked up the first one. It was a bank transfer receipt from her name to an account she didn't recognize. $12,000. Date, 3 years ago. She picked up another, $2,500. Another, $6,000. Her hands started trembling. What is this?" she asked, her voice shaking. "These are proof of the transfers you made to Richard over the last 4 years, Michael said calmly. "If you add it all up, it comes to $63,000. The silence was now absolute. Michael pulled out more papers from the box. "Here are the WhatsApp conversations printed out, where you asked Amanda not to tell anyone about the money. And here," he showed some photos, "are screenshots of the bank account Tom doesn't know exists. The account you opened with the money from selling your rental property that belonged to both of you." Tom stood up from his chair. "What's this about, Margaret?" Margaret was pale. "Michael, how did I find out?" Michael asked, maintaining his composure. "I've been gathering this information for 2 years. Amanda told me everything when she was drunk last Christmas. She apologized, said she couldn't keep the secret anymore. So I investigated. I asked a favor from a friend who works at a bank. Everything legal, don't worry." He turned to Richard, who was as pale as Margaret. "You're really a successful lawyer, Richard? Or are you a lawyer drowning in debt who depends on my mother-in-law to keep up appearances? That nice little office you have? My mother-in-law pays the rent. The German car, financed in her name. The house with 4 bedrooms, half of it is a loan she took out for you. Amanda started crying. Michael, I'm so sorry. Michael continued looking at Margaret. You kept humiliating me, saying I wasn't enough, that I was a second-class son-in-law, when I never, ever asked you for a penny. Everything Jennifer and I have is ours. Our apartment, we pay for it ourselves. Our son, we raise him with our own sweat. Tom's hands were shaking. $63,000, Margaret, from the money from our rental property. Michael and Jennifer left the party right then. He didn't wait for anyone's response. He'd already said what needed to be said. On the way home, Jennifer cried a lot. She said she was ashamed of her mother, that she was sorry for everything Michael had endured. 3 months passed. Margaret showed up at their door. Her eyes were swollen and she looked thinner. She said Tom had asked for a separation. He'd discovered that the money from the rental property was supposed to be their retirement fund, and she'd spent almost all of it maintaining Amanda and Richard's fake lifestyle. She apologized, cried, said she was wrong, that it was pride, that she wanted both her daughters to have comfortable lives, that she'd been ashamed of Michael because he showed that you didn't need money to be a good husband and father. Michael looked at her and felt pity, but also sadness, because he realized she'd destroyed her own marriage, her relationship with her daughters, all for an illusion, all to keep up appearances. He didn't slam the door in her face. He let her in, made coffee. They talked. But he told her the truth. Margaret, it's going to take a long time for me to trust you again. Today, almost a year after that party, things are different. Amanda and Richard got divorced. It seems that when the money ran out, so did the marriage. Tom is living alone, happier than Michael has seen him in years. Margaret is trying to rebuild her life. And Michael continues being a teacher, earning his $3,800 a month. Jennifer and he still rent their apartment, but now they're genuinely saving for a down payment on a house. Ethan is 2 years old, talking nonstop, calling him daddy all the time. Michael doesn't regret what he did at that party. It wasn't revenge. It was justice. It was showing that respect isn't bought with money. It's earned with character. And that sometimes the people who judge others the most are the ones with the most to hide.
Michael's revelation at that birthday party exposed more than just financial secrets. It exposed years of hypocrisy, false values, and the toxic belief that a person's worth is measured by their bank account. While Margaret spent $63,000 propping up a fake lifestyle, Michael was building something real, a loving family, honest values, and self-respect that money can't buy. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more true stories about justice, family dynamics, and standing up for yourself. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been judged for not being successful enough? How did you handle it? And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it with them. Remember, your worth isn't determined by what you own, but by who you are and how you treat others. Sometimes the poorest people are those who need money to feel valuable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.